Good morning, this is Sandra with Sandra Turner Art. Today we're going to do a little bit, something a little bit different. I'm using watercolors today. I have actually put them on my small glass palette that I use for oil painting, and I'm using 140 pound Fabriano cold pressed watercolor paper, and it's on a block. It's a 5x7, it's not very big. But today what I want to do different, that I don't believe I have taped, is I'm going to use some of my Aquapasto to give my watercolor some texture. And in addition to that, I'm only going to be using a palette knife and a plastic palette knife here. And then I've got a brush here to wet my paper. And I'm going to do an abstract watercolor landscape, I hope. So we're going to give it a try. I've got one of my blue shop towels to wipe off my palette knife, and I'm just going to mix a little bit of these colors with some of this Aquapasto to give it a texture. So it gives it a thick texture like acrylic or oil, so that you can get some texture effects with it. And I've got cerulean blue, cadmium yellow deep, pyro red, verditer blue, and burnt sienna. So I'm going to use some of this with the Aquapasto and some of it without. We're going to use a lot of water. That's why you want to use your watercolor paper. And how much do you put in? Do you just want it to be thick enough to give it a raised level? You can always add a little bit more. And I've got my 3 primaries here. And I don't think I'm going to put any Aquapasto in those 3. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to wet my paper. Make sure my palette knife's clean. And my game plan is I want to do like a sunset with a little bit of landscape at the bottom. And any wash brush will do. I just got a big one here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take, I'm going to do this first. I'm going to take some of my blue, and blue and yellow make green. So you want to go to your red so you get a purple. You don't want green in your sky. And then you can go to yellow, which is going to make an orange. So we're going to start out there. Just be sure and keep all your utensils clean, or you're going to end up with green really easy. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to lay it flat and start bringing it across. Very wet. I do want some more blue up here. And of course the skies are always darker at the top. So I'm going to put some more paint there. I can take some of this Aquapasto paint. Just try to keep that yellow out of your blue. Okay. So we have kind of a sunset. Now one thing I didn't get that I need a shop tail for the bottom because I'm going to spray water on here. And we're going to let it run and get some nice sunset. So blue and red make purple. Red and yellow make orange. So we're trying to get all of these colors in here. And I do need a little bit more blue. See, that kind of turned a little brown. So you can take your paper towel, kind of lift that up. Just keep playing with it until you get it the way you like it. Messy, but it's fun. So the harder you spray, the more paint it takes off. Just keep tilting until you get something that you like. blue. Did I say it was a messy? It's messy, but it's fun. So the trick is to put a lot of paint on and then just keep tilting, taking paint off. Because we want all those colors to mix. Right here I have a lot of red that's not breaking up. I'm not sure why, it's like it's stuck to the paper. So just lightly rub it in. Okay, so what I'm going to do is dry this. Still have some pieces of paint that don't want to mix up. So do you see what just happened there? I had some yellow and put it in the blue and it made a green. So we're gonna now I'm not putting any clouds in this. This is just kind of like a sunset. Right here, I feel like I got a little bit of too much of a muddy color. So I'm going to put some of that in there. And then I got a hard edge there I want to get rid of. And I could do just a little bit of red through here. With that Impasto, Aquapasto. And I'm going to wet this one more time and then I'm going to dry it. Okay, I'm going to give this a dry. Get some more of the cerulean out with just the paint. And just use it like a regular palette knife to get these top areas a little bluer. And you can put a little water on your palette knife to help spread it, or even mix it in here a little bit. And just work it in. Just dipping my palette knife in water to help spread the paint. And I want to get rid of some of these hard edges. Need another, let's just use this one. Another brush to put water on. So I'm using a little bit of that vetiver blue in my sky. Okay, now I'm going to mix a little, need some more blue. Yellow and blue to make a green. We're just making some landscape, diagonal landscape lines. Take the side of your palette knife with no paint on it, and you can scrape some horizon I'm going to take a little bit of this red. I love that pyro red, it's so pretty. Take a little bit on this side. This may end up being an abstract, if I know me. So I got some very nice messages from several of you regarding my cancer being back. And I'll just give you a little update. I did get the biopsy done and my cancer is back. It's in my lymph nodes in my chest. And I go to the oncologist on the 27th of this month to figure out what my plan is. So I'm sure it'll be chemo. I can't do radiation because I have COPD. And look at those pretty marks. So what's happening here, the paper is getting a little bit drier. So I have COPD and I would not be able to do radiation. So I'm sure it'll probably be chemo and immunotherapy again. So I'm going to take this brown, mix it with this red, and see if we can get like some little mountains back here. So yeah, I've done it once. I can do it again. As my son told me, you kicked cancer's ass once, you can do it again, Mom. And that is true. I did. So today is Saturday. Tomorrow is Mother's Day. And I want to wish all the mothers out there a very happy Mother's Day. My kids, well, my birthday's the 12th, and my kids are taking me out to dinner tomorrow, so that'll be good to see all them and the grandkids. Kind of getting some mountainous shapes here for some reason. I don't know, it just kind of went that direction, which is what always happens. You just never know. That's why you always just kind of don't ever have a plan in mind. But I hope you all have a wonderful Mother's Day. And I lost my mom when I was 26, and I know it's always a hard day for those of you that have lost your moms. I did have a wonderful mother-in-law. She lived to be in her 90s, and I miss her every day. I had her almost longer than I had my own mom. But I know it's a tough day for a lot of people. And I do understand that. And actually, my mom passed away when I was 26 on May 7th. And then my birthday was May 12th. Well, then I had kids. And Mother's Day was in that mix with missing my mom. So for a long, long time, the month of May was not a very good month. It just was so hard. So I totally relate to, you know, we never get over losing our moms. It gets a little bit easier, but it's always hard. It's just hard. So this is actually ending up a little mountainous ridge, and I'm not hating it. But yeah, it's a tough time for many, just like Father's Day. I lost my father as well. Well, my husband and I both. You know, it's just, the older you get, the more people you lose, and it's always hard. So what I'm doing is I'm taking my palette knife and trying to carve in some interest. And I think I got some transparent red I actually haven't used. I got out. See what that does. So this was just for fun, nothing in particular. I just wanted to, I've been doing a lot more oils than I've ever done. And if you're interested in seeing me paint in oils, leave a message in the comments and we can do that. I did a chickadee painting in oil the other day, and then I did a butterfly on a coneflower. So to me, this kind of looks like a little cave, and I actually want to leave it. I like it. So just let me know in the comments if that's something you might be interested in. So what is happening here is because the paper's kind of buckled or warped from the water. It's sitting in that well. So the other thing I want to do is that is not what I wanted to do. I was going to try to make that a soft edge. So this would definitely be considered an abstract. Now, to me, there's too much darkness in here. So I'm going to put a little bit of yellow and then take some water and take a little bit of that off. Kind of lighten that up in sections. So like here where I told you it's warped, you're just going to need to go in the other direction so that you don't put the lines in your paper. I'm going to take a little bit of this off, but not much. Just want to get it moving. So what should happen, we have some dark areas with some light areas. I'm just maneuvering the paint where it's not going. So what this did up here it kind of made a ridge. It's lighter. So I'm going to dry this just a little bit. I don't want it completely dry though. Okay. So I do want some blue up here. And I keep washing it away, so I'm just going to add it again. So as you can tell, with all the colors that we've added, you can see them from underneath. Now, one thing you can do with a palette knife, and I'm going to get my smaller one, is you can scrape in rocks. You can also do it with a credit card, a gift card, anything like that. But I like to do my rocks with a palette knife. It looks like I got some acrylic or oil paint on there, but that's okay. So what I'm going to do, it looks like I also got a hair here. I may just let that dry. There it went. So what I can do, I can actually take this and I could scrape in a few grasses, trees, whatever. So since this is almost dry, it scrapes perfect. You don't want it too wet. You don't want it too dry. And I can always add water. So what you do is very lightly take the side of your palette knife and scrape in I was going to do grasses and I changed my mind. Scrape in some rocks. Now I would suggest coming down from the blue and get a little ridge going. And that's fine. Then we'll come down here. Just keep wiping it off just like if you're doing oil paint. You want to get that excess. So then here, let's go down here. Okay, so this is not wet enough. It's actually almost dry. And that was probably too wet. I like that with the spider webbing, so I want to leave that. So just you're just putting that texture in there. And you want to leave the dark next to the yellow so that that shows through. And you don't want to take it all off. You just want some highlights, light and dark. Just going to blend that in a little bit. And you can also take your knife and make whiter marks. If you want like a whole lot of light in a certain area. This is real wet here. Let's see what we can do. I just really like that right there. I want to leave it. See, that's real dry, and that's okay. Now I could take a little bit of dark make a little ridge up here. You could scrape a few rocks in there. Just taking the edge of my painting knife and scraping in some rocks. It almost makes it look like a waterfall. Isn't it funny how when you paint, how things just start to appear that you weren't? This was not the direction I was going, never is. So I don't want to just do a whole lot of rocks, but I do want to get enough where it looks like so right here I need some dark. Maybe some light instead. Yeah, it's funny how you think you're going in one direction and you end up going in another. So I'm just going to take this palette knife and make a some more rocks there. Yeah, my sister-in-law actually called me yesterday, and she said, how do you know what you're going to paint? And I said, I don't. I may go in one way. I'm going to wash off some of this. It's very ochre color. I said, I start out with something, but it usually never ends up that way. Trying to lighten up some of these areas. This over here kind of went to mud. So I'm just kind of dabbing off a little bit of the paint. You got to be able to go with the flow, because you just never know what you're going to get. And I think that's why I don't really care to do commissions, because I can promise you it is probably not going to look like whatever you wanted painting. I have done them, and they're hard as heck and the hardest thing I've ever done. But for instance, I did a butterfly from a picture that I had taken in my backyard. And I started it realistically. And I'm like, this is no fun. So what I did is, and it was in oil, is I took my palette knife and started laying in layers of lavenders and blues. Not realistic. And it ended up looking like mosaic tile when it was finished. And I was like, now that was fun. So you just have to be flexible is the word. I'm going to get a little bit more blue and put in that yellow to make a green. And what I may end up doing, not may end up, I will, I'm going to put some of the Aquapasto in it to see if I can make it thicker for those trees. So just mix it up real well with the palette knife. And see, it just gives it this texture-like quality. And mixing that blue in with the yellow made green. So these are far away. So I do want them a little bit more on the blue side. But see, it just gives it like a impasto effect. Let me do just a few over here, but smaller. Well, now, see, I messed this up. This is too far down. And I can't have the red showing. There we go. I really don't like that. I may scrape that off on this side. So you just take your knife, because underneath was dry. Then I could take a little bit of my transparent red and put in there. So over here, we have trees, but you need little tree trunks. And then over here I need to scrape this if it's to lighten it up. Just try to keep your lines straight. There. So to me, this looks like a almost like a waterfall. Well, my red's dried up. I hate to get more. Out of everything. going to do is spray some water down here on this side. It almost reminds me of two waterfalls. Okay, so it's a put on, take off scenario because now the top is too light. So I have some burnt sienna. And I'm going to do that. I do need some more Power Red. And this may drive some of y'all crazy because it's like not the direction I was going in. But to me, this is the fun of experimenting and being creative. Okay, so I have burnt sienna and Power Red in there, and I'm going to water some of it off very lightly. To get that red to drip down. And then we're going to let it sit. So what I need to do, last thing and we're done, I'm going to dry this and then scrape a little bit of the top part off and we're done. And I've got paint everywhere. Okay. So what I want to do is just scrape some of these rocks back in. Okay, I need one more thing. I need some dark on this side. to be able to scrape. That red will show up underneath. So this is very thick paint. The problem with experimenting is when you make a mistake, you have to fix it. Trying to push this light a little bit further up. There we go. I'm gonna make the rocks on this side brighter because it's brighter over here. Problem with the knife, you don't know when to stop. Okay, so I'm gonna leave this dark. And then, so you got this backlit sun, the darkness, and then the light. I like it. A little bit of vertical in there a little bit. And the drier it gets, the easier it is to manipulate your lines. And you could take them, just take the wet paint and just pat over the top if you want to kind of and the last thing I need, I need a little blue. I know I keep saying the last thing, but this really is the last thing. I need some blue. Hardest thing to do is screw on a watercolor tube. So I want a little bit of blue. And with this burnt sienna to get a darker color around this edge. So just tap it in, then use your wet burnt sienna to kind of blend it in, and it's going to make this area here brighter. We're not putting a rim or a border, we're just kind of darkening the, and I don't want it blue, I want it dark. Then I need a little bit right here. And I got a lot of burnt sienna right here, so I can just take it and tap that in. And when that dries just a little bit, I can put some marks in it. So right here, I'm trying to make this brighter. There. And you fix one thing, you mess something else up. Story of my life. Well, this has been fun, and I really am about done. I'm just trying to get these to look more like water spouts. I don't want them to be such straight. Lines. But what happens is now I have to take some of that off. Okay. See how that's running back in? It's because it's too wet. So I thought it was the burnt sienna that I needed, but actually I think it was the pyro red. I'm gonna go this route, and if this don't work, I'm done. I probably overworked this some, but it was fun. Okay. I think that is it. There we go. Get some bigger rocks in there. Okay, that's it. Thank y'all so much for being with me. Sorry it took a little bit longer than I expected. I may speed this up so you don't have to sit through all my trials and tribulations here. Thank you for joining me. And if you like this, give it a thumbs up and be sure and subscribe. Again, this is watercolor with a palette knife. A lot of water, a lot of taking off, putting on, really messy, a lot of fun, as you can see. And we'll see you soon. Thank you now. Bye.